Greetings YouTube. This is the most enigmatic Christmas present I ever received. It's a Höhenschreiber. It's good for up to 10 hours. It's good for 15,000 feet of vertical height above sea level. It's clockwork, as you can hear. Made in Germany, pre-World War II, for the sailplane industry. As you can see, it's got a very wonderfully primitive inertial shock mounting with balanced bungee cords and dog clips top and bottom. When you're in your sailplane, you can look back into the luggage compartment and you can see that the dial is in fact turning. It has an ink on paper scale up the side, 0 to 1,000 feet, the first 7 millimeters from sea level. 1 to 2,000 is another 7 millimeters, 2 to 3,000 is 6.5, 3,000 to 4,000 feet is 6 millimeters, 4,000 feet to 6,000 feet is a 12 millimeter band, 6,000 to 8,000 is 11.5 millimeters, 8,000 to 10,000 is 10 millimeters, 10,000 to 12,000 is 9.5 millimeters, 12 to 14,000 is 8.5, and 14 to 15,000 is 4 millimeters. And you're going to need oxygen to go higher than this is capable of recording. It has a very simple on-off switch. I'm not going to turn it on because my intention is to let it run all the way down. And this little tag allows you to put wire through with a lead crimp on so that it can be sealed before the start of the takeoff run. And that allows you to prove that you haven't landed your sailplane anywhere along the way. There's a clockwork mechanism inside the drum. A simple switch lever both elevates the needle off the drum and stops the clock. There's a pair of aneroid cans in series linked up on a set of magnifying bell cranks. So it moves a little bit, which moves that a whole lot, which comes down and rotates this arm a whole lot, which is then extended to the spring steel needle, and that needle scratches the carbon from a roll of white paper, and you get the carbon onto the paper by holding the entire drum over the chimney of a kerosene lamp that's been turned up to full throttle so it's smoking like billy-o, and you evenly smoke the entire paper without setting fire to it. You put the drum back in the machine. When it's operating, the needle scrapes the carbon off the paper and you get a white trace on black paper. And before you take the paper off the drum, you spray the drum with clear hairspray. This instantly dries and it fixes the carbon in the dried hairspray onto the paper, and you've made yourself a negative image carbon record of the flight. When I got this thing 5 years ago, I was a bit interested in how it would be accuracy wise. So we have a fortnight's worth of barometric pressure changes. So here, for example, 1,013 millimeters at 26 degrees, whereas here we're talking 1,010 millibars of mercury at 22 degrees Celsius. And yeah, there is a very slight overlap. This is the biggest one we've got. 1,020 millibars versus 1,006 millibars. So effectively you calibrate this thing from a topographic map and knowing the altitude above sea level at the start of the journey. And you can have a lot of fun with it. This shows the efforts of a couple of days attempting to figure out how to mount the barograph in my car. I tried it padded and unsprung and sprung and all sorts of ideas. While having some trouble getting it to work in the car, I took it for a walk around my boundary fence and found that on foot you can't really climb fast enough on this place to show much of a change. But you can have a bit of fun if you drive into town and go out and have a bit of a look at Waterloo Range and then come back to the home ground. I found that long drives are pretty good. That's calibrated up to 5,000 feet. Now we've started off at my place, gone into Glen Innes to Glencoe, up over Ben Lomond Range, down the Devil's Pinch, and we've arrived at Armadale, and that's on the 2 hour to the revolution setting. So therefore for the trip home I've gone to a 4 hour setting, and that's Glen Innes to Armadale to Glen Innes. 4 hours one way, no, sorry, 2 hour section one way and a 4 hour setting for the other way. Pretty nice little cross section of the highway drive. It's 100 kilometres, Glen Innes to Armadale, by the way. Here's a little trip from my place down to the nearest alternative lifestyle community. And we start out at 3,449 feet at the Glen Innes Hospital. The Park Creek's 3,433 feet. And by the time we get down to Waitalaba, it's 1,215 feet. So here we see the trip down the big hill, onto the community and around the community, and then we have the trip back up the hill and back out to Dundee. Done on the 2 hour setting. And here we have, try that again because I'm not going to reshoot this. Here we have a couple of trips. We have my place along the highway into Glen Innes up to the top of Martin's Lookout. We then come from Martin's Lookout back to my place. We have from my place along the New England Highway to the town of Deepwater. We go to the Deepwater Dump. We go to Tent Hill. We come out to Fruit Salad Corner, and then we come along the back track past Rangers Valley Feedlot and back to my place along Yarraford Road, which kind of goes to prove that for 30 or 40 kilometres around I am the highest person off the ground. I get to look down on all of my neighbours because, you know, that's why I don't need to fix the aeroplane. That's why I live up here. I am vertically superior to everybody, and I get to look down on them. And I can prove it with my wonderfully ticking clockwork, not a time bomb, it's just a German recording barometer. Isn't old technology marvellous? And it still works. Tee hee. Said he.